Test, test, test. Test. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hey guys. Okay, so Bitcoin dumped, and we saw this big wick down. Where do I see the market going? Let's look, I guess, on the weekly. I'll go through BTC USD first. Actually, you know what? Before I actually start all this, I just want to say that if you lost a lot of money today, you are not alone. Everybody else that I know pretty much lost some money because they are exposed to some crypto. So if you did lose money today, and if you are somewhat new to crypto, this type of stuff is normal. Unfortunately, you have to take the good with the bad. I've gone through many of these types of days before, and they really suck. They don't really get much easier, to be honest, and it always is a good reminder to have more cash on hand and have less exposure to alts or BTC or crypto, whatever it is. So if you are down money, I'm sorry. It's part of the game. Use this day as a learning experience. If you are an investor in crypto, then you shouldn't worry too much about these types of days. I do recommend that most people just dollar cost average in. Just go ahead and scale in, buy a little bit here, buy a little bit there. Is this the bottom? I have no idea. And the reason why I'm not trading right now is because I'm simply not good enough to scalp on lower time frames in these conditions. I am mostly, I already put most of my orders in already. I got filled a little bit today. Some of my entries are at the bottom, some of them are higher, and I am underwater on those entries. But that's okay because I still feel that in the short term, these entries will be pretty solid, and I'm just sticking with the plan. When I see days like this, I just average in. I just start to buy, and if it goes lower, then I still have some cash on hand. But I do think that it's a good time to scale in personally. But let's just see. So as I've said over the last few weeks, I always thought that this type of price action was more distribution than accumulation, and there are a few reasons for this. The first being that you see high volatility and these crazy wicks in both directions. It's very different than what we saw before in this type of accumulation bottom at the bottom of the bear market of 2018 and 2019. And this current price action is also much different than what we saw all throughout 2020, where you see these tight candles, small amount of volatility. This is more classical accumulation. So that's a reason why I really didn't think that this current price action looks like accumulation to me. It looks more like distribution with these crazy volatile wicks in both directions. You saw pretty high sell volume coming in on lower time frame charts. And that was the reason why I was very cautious overall. Now, did I think that it was going to go to 30,000? No, personally, I did not. And I thought something like 38 or 35K would be the bottom myself, but it's clear that I was wrong, and I always have to remind myself that price goes lower than you think and it goes higher than you think. So especially with crypto, and that's saying something, for being in the market 5 years or so now. I didn't know that I'm not really early either, but where do I see price going from here? There were some charts that I saw from Cold-Blooded Schiller that really gave me a lot of food for thought. And he showed some charts where price dipped down, and this is back in 2017. He showed prices where there were some massive capitulation, or so we thought, back on the run for 2017, and price rebounded quite quickly. Now, the market structure for this run up in 2017 and now, it's quite a bit different in general, in my opinion. And what we're seeing right now might be more closer to like 2020, or we saw in March. But this overall price action kind of showed to me that price could still have big pullbacks and still continue higher. Now, as I said, the market structure of this 2017 run is a little bit different than what we're currently seeing. Is it as bad as what we saw in March 13th? I mean, liquidation-wise, yeah, we have more liquidations today, I think, than back then. But obviously, you can't compare the market then and now, given the amount of money there is relative to March 2020. I think in terms of percentage of the market and of liquidations, like this was a lot worse in 2020. But where do I see price going now? I mean, I think that we generally will see a range established. So after you, like what I said the last market review is that after you see big moves in each direction, that's when you start to see the range. That's when you start to see the range forming. You didn't really see a huge range forming in 2018 until you saw this massive shakeout and last capitulation move down from $6,000 to $3,000. This was the range that was established at the bottom of the market, where you saw $6,000 to $3,000. Everyone thought this was going to go lower. I remember this time because I sold like 10 BTC here to cash out like an idiot. Obviously, I wish I had that money back, but is what it is. You need a big move in either direction to establish the range. So this is what we saw in 2018 going into 2019, and then a big, large range forming. This was an accumulation bottom, as I said. And then you saw this big shakeout back in March of 2020. Obviously, everybody remembers this. Well, maybe not everybody, but there were a lot of people that really remember this time. And from here, this was the bottom. And then you saw price grind up. Although you didn't really see the classical accumulation pattern where you see price just ping-ponging within a range like this, like how we saw at the end of 2018, early 2019. But because there were so many liquidations, this was the bottom overall. And price just kind of grinded up higher. And you saw that this was the market bottom. Now, when you start to scale down on lower time frame charts, you start to see that there's a lot of volatility and it takes a long time for bottoms to form. So this, again, this is the March 12th, March 13th, wherever you were in the world. This time period was very scary in general. And this was a very nasty experience. Obviously, this is the COVID dump. If you look on lower time frame charts, and this is really where you will learn a lot. If you study lower time frame charts, you'll start to see a lot of information from the 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minute, like especially real time. Like if you are not used to these types of price movements and you like to trade, I would recommend getting the hell off this stream and going on the 1 minute and just looking at price. And you can also look at some of the orders as well, like the order book, and just kind of like look to see what this type of stuff looks like in real time, because that's going to be more valuable than me talking on a screen right now. So this was after the March 12th crash. You'll see that price made this initial wick down right here and temporarily formed a bottom for a little while around $5,000, $5,500, and then it wicked down again. And when you start to see these types of bottoms forming, you'll see a lot of volatility in general. And it's also important to understand that you'll see price form this temporary big wick down right here. Price rebounds up to 6,000, and then it kind of returned to near the lows around 4,000. So this is a big reason why I personally thought that, and I still think that price currently is at a point where we see it's currently at 35K, almost 36K. It would not surprise me at all to see something like this where it grinds up a little higher currently, and then it starts to go a little bit lower to like 32K and then grinds up higher. Now, is this 29 or 30K, is this the low right here? I mean, it very well could be. Like, there were a lot of liquidations here. Like, it's quite possible this low doesn't get run. What I'm trying to say is, while this initial wick was good around 30K, this is like obviously an epic buy if you had orders there. it's quite possible, in my opinion, that you see price grind up and then kind of get closer to the lows. So if you did do some altcoin buys today, they're certainly great. Just know that it might go a little bit lower. Like this is kind of what I'm expecting, is for it to grind up and then get a little bit closer to the lows. And this type of price action is very common in terms of seeing big moves down. Is you see price grind, big move down, it temporarily finds the bottom, grinds up, and then it comes back down again. And it'll either run the lows or not, and then it'll just continue higher. So generally speaking, this is like something you'll see is where it'll run the lows. And sometimes it won't run the lows. Sometimes it'll just go and get close to it, like this example here, like 32K, and then it'll go higher. So this is kind of what I'm expecting, is for it to grind up higher. There are a lot of inefficiencies that are higher right now. And it cleaned up some of them already. But you know, there's still some more inefficiencies, even like up near 55K. The selling is strong in general, and it's very ugly in the short term in these situations. Like it doesn't really ever get super easy, in my opinion, especially if you have exposure to altcoins like I do. But personally, in days like today, I just average in, and I don't go all in. Like there are a lot of traders that have great conviction that just buy a shitload right now and just expect it to be the bottom. But I personally just average in. I did 50% of my buys today, and let's just see. So in terms of the overall, let's look at BTC dominance. BTC dominance, this is kind of, I wasn't super surprised that it bounced. I didn't think it was going to bounce like this hard, this fast. As you can see here, this was like my prediction for the last crypto market review I made, was Bitcoin dominance going higher, and then it'll eventually go lower. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Bitcoin dominance is Bitcoin's total share, or it's Bitcoin's dominance is Bitcoin's share of the market. So it's like Bitcoin's market cap relative to the entire crypto market. So when you see Bitcoin dominance going down, that's usually a good sign for altcoins. It means that altcoins are taking more of a market share relative to Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin dominance goes up, it's usually bad for altcoins, especially alt BTC pairs. Like alt BTC pairs really suffer during times like today. And when you see Bitcoin dominance going up, it's usually not great. So what I expected Bitcoin dominance to go up a little bit. It's like kind of at a support region, and this isn't really, I don't know if you can really chart these kind of macro sentiment, especially with the way Bitcoin dominance is today. There's a lot of altcoins on the market right now. So, you know, BTCD is not really as good of a chart indicator, like a macro indicator, as it used to be, but it still might have some value. And this was like kind of an area of interest. Like altcoins really did well over the last year, basically since January, and altcoins are really doing well as a whole. But Bitcoin dominance has kind of bounced, and we saw a lot of altcoins sell off, as you saw today. Now, is this like the end of altcoins for a while? It's quite possible. I don't know. I personally think that altcoins will have a bounce, but that idea is being tested strongly right now. But the reason why I do think that altcoins will bounce is because I think that ETH-BTC still looks pretty good. I got filled today at 0.65, and that was not the bottom by any means. It looks like I should have bid even lower. Here is my overall ETH-BTC chart, and I've posted this several times across Twitter. It just shows the cyclical kind of seasonal market trends for ETH-BTC for the market cycles. You see strong bounces in the winter of 2018. This was the greatest alt season of all time. Big pullback 1 month later in February to March, one last springtime move up in May, and then summertime destruction for ETH BTC. And ETH BTC is generally a pretty good indicator for altcoins, like a macro indicator, arguably better than BTCD at this time. So this market cycle has really shown to be true the last few years. And this year, it's still holding true. Like, we still are having this big springtime pump. It's definitely pulling back now, which is totally normal, and it's totally kind of expected. But there's a little bit different. It's a bit of a different situation today than it was back in 2018 and 2019. And the reason is that ETH BTC currently has a bullish market structure, which is something that we have not seen in years. We see a bullish market structure on the macro, on the higher time frame charts, where it's making higher highs and higher lows. And to me, that means that this trend is still valid for now. So let's look a little bit closer at ETH BTC. Here is my overall chart of where I thought that it might be good to buy at, and it looks like this was a good entry. Too bad I got impatient and I bid a little higher, but whatever. What are we looking at here? This is the ETH BTC chart on the 3-day. As you can see, this was just a prolonged downtrend. This is a bear market overall. What we're seeing from that time, and you can just see like lower highs across the board, right? Like, these are just lower highs formed, lower lows formed. These are just like really bearish situation where you just see lower lows formed and lower highs formed. But really, the March 2020 crash, this was the first time that we saw a bullish market structure formed for ETH BTC, where we're seeing continually higher highs and we're seeing continually higher lows across the board. Now, this is a big reason why I think that altcoins will do better in general in the coming weeks, is because ETH BTC still has a bullish market structure in general. And I still feel that this is okay for now. Like, it's still a bullish trend. I mean, this is obviously great. And I would like to see a low formed overall. And this is where the next few days is where I expect to see the lows formed. I expect to see some more chop and price to ping pong around and form a higher low. And then I expect altcoins to really do pretty well after that. And I would be saying differently if ETH BTC was not in a bullish market structure, but because ETH BTC is in a bullish market structure, that's a big reason of why I think that, why I personally think that altcoins will have a second run. Now, altcoins in general, they did fall farther than I thought. I thought that altcoins were really going to do a lot better than, I didn't think they were going to wick down as hard as they did. I mean, that's really strong wick overall for like YFI. Like, I was targeting a lot of decentralized finance coins, and I was clearly wrong in terms of how far these would go, like in terms of how low they would go. Today was obviously a really nasty day, but as I said before earlier in the stream, it takes a large move in both directions to really form the range. And in my opinion, BTC has just formed its range. Overall, like, I think that this is pretty likely in general that this area, it's getting close to the bottom, if not the bottom. And I think that Bitcoin will probably just ping pong around for the next few months. Now, do I think that Bitcoin is going to go to like 20,000? I mean, at this point, it's really not that far away, right? Like, it's quite possible. It's possible that 20,000 is like in the cards. I don't personally think so, but I didn't think that 30,000 was going to get tapped either, right? I thought that 35K or something like that was like the bottom. But clearly I was wrong. And do I think that Bitcoin is now going to just go ahead and go to like zero? I mean, again, never say never. It's crypto. Like, you always have to challenge your thoughts. But to me, I think that this is the short-term bottom. I think that price is going to ping pong around for a long time and consolidate. These moves in general I think they're pretty normal for crypto. And I'm sorry again if this is like your first big kind of nasty move experiencing this. If you're new to crypto, I mean these types of moves they happen a lot more than you think. And you have to just kind of prepare yourself mentally for these types of days because they definitely happen. At least you guys aren't really trading a whole lot in like 2018 and 2019 altcoins. Like that was a really hard time for me because it was like days like this a lot during the summer, and I just didn't really know what was going on. But I personally think that this is like the short-term bottom. I think that price is going to go ahead and ping pong around and just form a large consolidation range. Big moves like this, they take a long time to resolve, and this day was obviously huge in terms of liquidations from what I've read. And again, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see something like this form for Bitcoin. Something like we saw in the May 12th crash. I wouldn't be surprised to see that price would grind up. Because I think there's going to be a range formed, I would not be surprised at all to see altcoins flourish. And that's why I'm buying a lot of altcoins right now. Now, with that said, if this is not the bottom, like if Bitcoin goes to like 20,000, then altcoins are just going to really die. And like I think that's just going to be, I mean, they're going to bounce, of course, but I think the entire market will be in such shock, as if it's not already in shock, that it's going to be tough to recover. There will be a mini quote unquote alt season in the sense that everything is just really recovering if it goes to like 20,000. But as of right now, I still feel that this is like the bottom, the short-term bottom. Maybe like 28K, like it wicked to on some exchanges. Certainly certainly possible, but like I think this is the bottom, like relatively speaking. Like it might get closer to it. Like I still expect like 32K in the next few days, but let's just see. For altcoins, I mean, I think that buying today is a plus EV move personally because there's a lot of inefficiencies to clean up higher. I do think that price will potentially grind back lower. Like here's an example for YFI. Like it wouldn't surprise me to see price grind up a little higher, then grind back lower, and then start to go higher because there's a lot of inefficiencies to go. And I would not be surprised to see a lot of this get bought back over the coming days. The decentralized finance charts before this big shakeout, like these charts still looked really good. This looked way different than here, I'll show you a better chart. Okay, so like look at YFI. This was a chart that I really liked for a while, and I still like it, honestly. Like we saw the big run up in 2020. This was decentralized finance summer, and everything moved really hard. But we saw price go up really strongly, consolidate just for a little bit with one last exhaustion pump, and then it hit like this head and shoulders pattern, and then it died in 2020. What we're seeing here on this move up here was just large amount of grinding up. Like you saw this big move up all the way at November of 2020, and then you saw a consolidation move. Price moved up again, followed by more consolidation. Price moved up again, followed by more consolidation. And you're seeing price grind up overall. This type of structure is much different than what we saw this parabolic run in September of 2020. This move up in 2020 was really kind of reminding me of the BTC run in 2017. It just was going higher and higher, no pullbacks really whatsoever, no consolidation, just going up higher. Whereas this type of price action you saw for something like YFI in 2021, this is much more reminiscent to me of Bitcoin in 2020, where we saw Bitcoin have these long accumulation periods where it just kind of ping-ponged around. It's like slight move up, ping pong around, slight move down, ping pong around. Like you saw lots of consolidation for Bitcoin, and this is very similar to that in my opinion in the way that price moved up. So I still feel that this chart looked good, and while we saw price break down a lot stronger than I thought, like I didn't think that 55K would get broken and lost. We saw it, and that's usually going to always happen when Bitcoin shits the bed like it did. Um, it's a good reminder that Bitcoin is still daddy no matter what happens. And if Bitcoin like has these large moves, then altcoins are going to just get nuked. So what do I see altcoins going? I mean, I personally still am bullish on altcoins. Maybe I'm just like so biased because I have some altcoin positions myself, but personally speaking, I think that altcoins are going to be bullish in the coming days, not just because they're going to get bought back and there's going to be some mean reversion, but because these charts in general still looked pretty good leading up to it. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see something like this grind up, go back down, revisit some lower areas like 40K for Wi-Fi, and then kind of recover quickly. That's kind of like the price action that I'm expecting for many of these altcoins. I do have some lower entries as well. And yeah, that's kind of like what I'm viewing in general. A lot of people are saying Elon. I guess let me go to Elon Musk. Tesla has, oh, okay, diamond hands. Okay, good. Okay, so where do I think that altcoins are going to go? I mean, I still feel that altcoins are going to be fine. Like, it's possible. You could make the argument that this wick just like broke market structure and like lower lows across the board. Totally valid. Like, totally. Like, yeah, I can't really find too much to argue against that. However, I still feel that price will grind back up closer to where they currently were. Where they were before, just because of how many liquidations there were, and there's so many more efficiencies higher that need to be cleaned up. I think that price will grind up. Now, it's really going to be dependent on Bitcoin for all these altcoin charts. Like if Bitcoin makes another leg down 20K, then yeah, these altcoins are going to really die off, and then that's just like they're gonna bounce for a while, but then I think that we see like a prolonged or a longer kind of bear market at that point. Like market structure would be broken. Like I think I really don't want to see Bitcoin break down to like 20K. I still feel that this like 30K area is the low, but let's just see. So I guess in summary of what I'm trying to say, I think that this is the low for Bitcoin in general. I think that price could certainly go to like 32K or so, and that's kind of what I'm expecting. As I said before, I expect price to grind back up a little bit higher and then revisit like the 32Ks. Everybody's going to be really bearish at that point, but that's a good time to long, because usually like when it comes back down, that's when you'll get like pretty good entries in general. And I still feel this is the low though. Like it could get ran short term, but I don't think that price is going to start closing like below 28K on high time frame charts. If it does, then I think we are in very big trouble, and we arguably could be in trouble now. Like it's certainly possible, but I feel that this is going to be the trading range that we are seeing. So I think that we are going to go ahead and see altcoins do pretty well after this BTC bottom has been found. And not just because altcoins will kind of mean revert and clean up efficiencies higher, but because the altcoin chart still, to me, looked pretty good before this big shakeout period. Like even Compound, like you just go through any sort of decentralized finance coin, or really any altcoin that they were consolidating for a while. Those are the coins to really watch. Like this accumulated for quite some time, and then it had a big run, and then it revisited the lows. Like I don't think I expected this personally, but for me personally, I'm buying spot, like a whole bunch of spot positions today. I bought Solana, and I bought I added to my position for like sushi and stuff like that. So anyways, that's kind of like my thoughts overall. As I said before early on in the stream, I really hope that you guys are safe, and I'm sorry you lost money. Like everybody lost money, but stay safe. Don't get chopped up out there. I still feel that this will clean up a little bit and get close to where it was a few days ago. So thanks for watching, guys, and good luck.